Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for HBAR. Now, before I get into the Elliott Wave count, just wanted to make people aware that I do have a Twitter. It's at caching_waves, and I have been posting on there. So the last post I put was be careful on Matic and HBAR, potential triangles completing to the downside, and need to see thrust down to confirm. Check the 1 hour charts. Good news is, if correct, should be the last move down before potential upside. And that was June 30th, which was right in this area. You can see the contracting triangle here, and we did get that thrust. Now, another thing I posted was about when. If you trade when, I'll show you that. I posted this also on June 30th. Had a potential 5 waves complete, and I was looking for a move to the downside. I wrote potential 5 waves complete as a 1-2 on when. Third wave did not hit ideal fibs, but did not break any rules. If we break above 154.4, diagonal fifth invalid, as third wave would be the shortest. I'm hedging here with my hedge close above 154.4. And that was right here. I just took the extension of wave 3 off wave 4. And if this was a diagonal, it could not go above that level. And I was looking for this move to the downside, and you can see that's what we got after the fact. We did have one more peak up, but didn't even come close to our critical area there, and boom, we came down. So just wanted to show you that. So if you are not following me, it's at caching_waves. And sometimes I'll post on there when I don't have time to make a video. All right, so back to the count. Now I'm going to dissect this a little bit for you guys. We've been tracking this for, 9 months, I think. We got the directions correct, but the count was obviously off in some places. So these are very choppy areas to deal with. But we did get the longs over here. We got out at this top. This area was very difficult to have any successful trades. But if you were managing your risk, you should have gotten a break even on this if you bought down in this area. Because if you recall, you can see in my previous videos, I was suggesting this is a 1-2, 1-2. So this was an area of interest to buy. If we got this move up, as long as you had your stops, just past the 618 of this move, you should have at least broken even. Okay, so we'll start from the significant low in the bear market. We had an A wave up. We had a 3-wave B wave. A little bit of help for you here. I use pitchforks, as you guys know. I find them a little easier than channels. So if you have your 3 points, say this is an ABC, you take your point from the beginning of your A, bottom of the A, off the B, and modified would just be a channel. I'll show you that here. If you take from our A off our B, you can see it's the same thing. It's just a channel. That's what modified is. But the reason I like the pitchforks is we also have shift. So if you start to reject at the center median line here on the pitchfork, you can actually adjust to shift, and you can see we actually came right off the bottom of our pitchfork, which was the ideal pivot. So just a little bit of heads up there. Sometimes I start with shift, and if we break through, then I switch to modified. It's not for any trading purposes, more than just to see when a potential correction is complete. Let's get rid of that. After that, we had a diagonal, most likely an ending diagonal as a C wave, and this is a completed W wave altogether. Came to the 1.236 extension of this A off this B for our C. We did get a bit of overthrow on our 5th, so no surprise we're getting this crazy reaction after the fact. Again, previous videos we had this as a 1-2, 1-2 potential, and it really looked like we were getting that as this started to pan out, but as soon as we started coming down pretty aggressively, that should have set off some alarms in your head. So what I have based on the current price action is this is a 3 wave as an A, there's a 3 here as our B, and we're working on our C or Y wave right now. If you take your extension of our A wave down, that's how you get our 1.236 and 1.382. As you can see in orange up here, it's the same thing. And that is where we look for a expanded B or X wave in a running or expanded flat. So you can see we wicked through that and reversed off it pretty significantly. One more thing before I get into the smaller time frames, as you can see, I took a channel at the beginning of our A off our B, and you can see we pretty much hit ideally off the top of that channel line. So you can see it's working pretty good geometrically, but we're coming to a potential end as an X wave. Unfortunately, in X waves, I can't really use time because they can be short, they can be very long, so this can drag out or it can be complete very soon. But I do think we have a significant pivot coming in very shortly. Now, as of right now, just on the larger term, I'm going to be looking for another three-wave move to the upside. Could be a third wave in a diagonal to the upside. Could be this could also be an A wave. We get a B and if we come deeper, make some sort of flat if we come deeper. But it's so large of a time frame, but that I am just focused on the next wave of this trend. There's a lot of options available when we start with 3. So just wanted to make you aware of this. This is actually a nice one though, this spike as an expanded flat, because most likely our next move is to the upside. So yeah, we'll talk about this area here and on these smaller time frames. So area of significance here that I want to see hold is, you can see all the buying and selling that happened in this area here. I'd like to see this zone hold just past the 618, and this fib is actually from A to C. So we're not taking it from the top here, we're taking it from A to C. So that's at 602 on log scale. We've already passed that on linear, but log is working very well in this correction, as you can see, so we're going to stick with that. Now for targeting, I took our A wave off our B wave, extended that for our C wave or Y wave, and that hits at 5.46 cents on log scale. So I do expect us to break this low right here, these lows here, this fourth wave, do some sort of liquidity grab and then reverse right in our zone. You can also see we have, well, not really with the spike, but I was going to say a head and shoulders pattern, but no, it's not. So what we're looking for here is a move down to my green zone, and I'm going to show you all the targets I have there on the 4 hour. All right, so as of right now, we're looking for a 3-wave move to complete our X wave. Now this can be in an ABC where we make 5 waves out over here, or it can be in a WXY, which I actually think is most likely, which is a 333 expanded flat, WXY. And I think we're very close to completing that. Okay, so let's go down to the 4 hourly. Now this was our 3-wave move. Looks like a double zigzag. We had our 3-wave or X wave, and now we're looking for 3 down to complete our Y wave. So we have our A wave. This part was a little bit complicating. It might have to get relabeled in the future, but this looks like a triangle to me. And then we had our reaction to the downside after the fact. So if you are studying Elliott Wave, you know that a triangle can only happen in the middle of a corrective pattern as like a B wave, X wave, or in an impulse. It can only happen in the 4th wave. So this has to be, if this is a triangle, this has to be a 3-wave move. Can't have a triangle in a wave 2. We can get triangle looking patterns, but those would be WXYs, and I don't see that here. So as of right now, counting this as an ABC, looking for 5 waves down to complete our Y wave. Okay, so we have our A wave, B, now we're looking for 5 waves down for our C wave to complete. This is also a difficult structure. This is the June 30th where I called the triangle almost complete right here. So as per extensions, sorry, I'm all over the place here. How do I explain this well? Okay. We came past, if this is our 1 and 2, which I have labeled currently, we have come past the 200, or right near the 200% for our third wave. This wave 1 off wave 2 extended. Usually we come to the 1.618, so we've extended. So I'd expect our fifth wave to come a little lower than standard targets, because our standard targets are between 200 and 2.236. So a couple targets, this is why I have this box, is our C wave on the larger time frame on the daily is around 5.46 cents. Now depending how you label this, our wave 1 through 3 off of the end of wave 4. We usually look for a Fibonacci sequence of that, which is 0.618. So wave 1 through 3 off of wave 4, that gives us a target of 5.82 cents. That's how you pull those fibs. Now one more fib I have is wave 1 off of wave 4, the 1-to-1. You can also get the 1.618, just the 1-to-1's most common. So we're looking for a cluster. That one's pretty good there. A Fibonacci cluster for a potential pivot. So you can see we got our 1.618 for C, kind of this zone, and on the smaller time frames, the 2.618 extension as well. So we're kind of in this zone. It's a little bit wide, about 20% for a potential pivot. You can also see I have my pitchfork off of wave 1 off wave 2, which is also why I have it labeled this way, and it's respecting the pitchfork very nicely. So as of right now, looking for a pivot. Now one issue I was having here, if you look at the lower time frames, these are all 3-wave patterns, like a lot of chop. And when I initially posted that on Twitter, I thought this was the D and this is the E here, which is also possible. And this could be a wave 1 and 2 as a diagonal. So I'm not quite sure how I want to label this, and I'll tell you how we're going to know in the end. But as for right now, I'm going to use this just because of the thrust we got right after. So if our fourth and our E wave is actually over here, this is why it matters, is actually over here, then we're expecting 5 waves down here for our micro, our last 5 waves down, right? So we'd be looking for something like this to complete, and then we reclaim and off we go. But if our E wave is over here, like so, then this is our entire 5th wave. You can see the difference. E wave over here, another wave like this. E wave where it is right now, this is the last wave and we go. So we could be off by 1 wave. If we do get that 1 more wave down, I'd move the E wave over and the 4th wave over and the D wave over. Not going to know until we get that price action. But as of right now, I also took our thrust measurement off the triangle, and if this is the E wave, we'd expect the thrust to at least take us to 6.4 cents. And that's the beginning of wave A. We extend the B wave back, get this measurement, and extend that off the E wave. So you can see this is the zone right here, my green box, 20% area. Now, there's a couple ways you can trade this. not financial advice. I'll actually tell you what I'm going to be looking for. I'd like to see this fourth wave broken before I get into any large sort of position. I want to see this reclaimed and then find support at the triangle. And if we can get a nice three-wave move, I might take a trade like this, stop at the low. But I wouldn't be in until I get that sort of move. It appears you're giving a lot away. You're like, oh, I could buy right now, but it's not that significant over the larger pattern playing out. Now, alternatively, if the E wave is over here and we get 5 down here, I would be buying a little bit lower because this would be 5 waves here, like so. I'd wait for the reclaim of this fourth wave, buy this correction, stop at this low. So a little bit better risk reward depending on the price action we get. Now, if you're a trader that trades on larger time frames, if I was to do that, it would be okay if I started to DCA in right now, if I were going to do that, not financial advice. And I'd put my stop just past all our targets, probably around the 786, or obviously not completely invalidated till we break this low. But that's a pretty wide, yeah, we're talking 87% drawdown, so it's not the greatest. Good spot to DCA in though, if I didn't want to day trade this. But yeah, the next move we're looking for after this is another three-wave move to the upside. Should be a pretty nice move, depending where we pivot from. We're talking, 200% plus. If we take our W wave, obviously we'll have to wait for the pivot, but if say we pivot at the 1.618 extension there, we're looking at 21 cents, so pretty nice upside. If you DCA in, it's all hypothetical, stop at the low. That's a nice over 4-to-1 trade. But if you can wait for the break, if it happens to happen now, break of the fourth wave there, you can see it's a much better trade. You can get 10-to-1 plus. But yeah, it's looking good, guys. Just waiting for this to complete. You've got my zone there. It's 5.46 to about 6.53. Ideally, the best entry for me would be if I have to move this E wave back and we get our 4-5 into this zone. I can have a nice hard stop there at that low. That's what I would ideally have. But if we just reverse from right under this area and come up here, I'm okay waiting for that as well. So what we're looking for this week is break this level, do a liquidity grab all the long stops that are under there, and a reversal. Just wanted to remind you one more time, you can follow me at caching_waves. If I don't have time to make a video, I'll just post a chart on there. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.